we have the privilege of working with Dr. Gaetan Chevalier. We've been working with Dr. Chevalier now for over 10 years. And Melinda Connor, actually, Dr. Melinda Connor, we've been working with her for about 10 years as well. Incredible researchers, and it's a privilege to work with them and their teams. Well, Dr. Chevalier was doing research into nuclear fusion at UCLA. He's an expert in laser spectroscopy, and some of our early studies that we did with him were looking at biophoton emission. And we saw that with our LifeWave energy enhancer patches, we could actually bring the cells into greater coherence, and this would improve biophoton emission from the cells. So this is a very powerful anti-aging effect. We also had run a study looking at upregulation of mitochondrial function. We did that study with Dr. Frank Schallenberger and Dr. Homer Nazaran at the time. Dr. Nazaran was at the University of Texas in El Paso, their biomedical engineering department. And so we saw directly that stimulating the skin with light would increase mitochondrial function. Any case, in this study, what we wanted to do was use a P300, it says here P3, it was a P300 EEG brain mapping system. This was the pilot study. There were some delays in getting started with the double blind because of COVID, but now the double blind study on this is underway. One thing that's important is that all 12 people in this open label study had dramatic effects. And we worked with people over the age of 60. And this is really significant because we would not expect, even with the effects of neuroplasticity, we would not expect to see changes this dramatic in a section of the population that is over the age of 60 and 70. But here at session 1 is baseline, session 2 is at 3 weeks, and session 3 is at 6 weeks. And what's happening is that the brain is shifting into a greater state of coherence. If we want to solve the problem of aging, the problem of aging can really be thought as a state of our bodies going from perfection, from the divine design, from a state of coherence and balance into a state of disorganization. And we see this over time, the degradation of the structure of the cells. Well, what would happen if we could reverse that and bring greater coherence to the cells, and of course on the macro level as well? And this is what we see with our products, that they establish greater coherence, and this is some proof of that. Here's the 67-year-old man. Now, I want to highlight the difference between these two because most people are going to see results with X39 within the first week and their first month using the product. Most people are going to get great results. Some people, however, require a little bit more time, maybe about 10 or 15% of the population. So if you have a patient that's using X39 and they don't see the results the first 3 or 4 weeks, that would not necessarily be unusual. You can see by session 3 here at 6 weeks, already there's a very significant improvement as compared to baseline. So some people are going to take a little bit longer, but it's only about 10 or 15% of the population. Okay, and then just moving quickly now, many of you might have already seen these testimonials, so we'll go quickly through them. But some of the dramatic effects we see with X39 are in the area of wound healing. So sometimes it can be a scar that's more than a year old. Even we've had people with scars that were 18 years old. They still saw a dramatic reduction in the appearance. Or here, this is just after 2 weeks on a more recent scar. X39 can be applied behind the neck, below the belly button, and it will produce a systemic effect. Some people prefer to put the patch at the site of an injury, and of course, that's fine too. So this is a young man who had a job interview coming up, and he was in an accident, and you can see within 5 days, he experienced a dramatic result. This one's really extraordinary. I was meeting with a doctor yesterday, and we were discussing a study on X39, and I showed him this picture, and he was absolutely blown away. Here's a gentleman that was in a car accident, nearly lost his hand, and yet 2 months later, virtually no sign of that injury. So this is the power of resetting stem cells to a younger, healthier state. This is also, I mean, just incredible. This is a young boy, 9 years old, in Denmark, caught his finger in a door, had it severed off. The doctors reattached it. You can see initially it turned black. The parents applied X39, and only 2 months later, the finger is back to normal. The doctor was astounded and said they didn't think that this was possible, and even still, they would have expected more like a 9-month recovery. Now, of course, stem cells, while they do a great job with wound healing, they certainly have very, very powerful anti-aging effects. And one of the things that stem cells do really well is make collagen. Of course, collagen is the most abundant protein in the body. And we know that as we age, there is a decrease in our levels of collagen, and hence this is going to lead, partially, that's going to lead to formation of lines and wrinkles. And this is a woman, her name is Mandy. She is in Australia, and you can see very dramatic result after 6 weeks. And she was thrilled with the results. She continued to use X39, and you can see dramatic change after 1 year. Now, this was actually the very first, I'll call it, youth renewal testimonial that we received on X39. This woman lives in Denmark. She's 93. Her daughter is a LifeWave distributor. The mom here was dealing with a number of very significant health challenges. And so the daughter gave her X39 in the hopes that it could help support her health. And everyone was truly shocked at the transformation that she went through in only 2 months.